What's good, YouTube? Runick's YGO here, back with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile after the release of the newest Fiendsmith selection pack, the Forbidden Liberated, here to finally show off a deck, and this deck is called Raw, or Runick Azamina White Forest. I'm super excited to show off this deck. This deck got even more powerful from the times I've been playing Runick White Forest with the newest Azamina cards. LZ of the Azamina. You can literally have even stronger board. Overall, this right here, just to show how many disruptions, that's 3 Omni Negates, 1 Book of Eclipse, and 1 Synchro 10. So that's 5 interruptions. This is, depending on your hand, you can definitely end on this board. More frequently, you will end on this board instead, having 2 Omni Negates instead. But again, depending on your hand and how you draw with Runick cards, you can actually pop off. But let's get to the deck profile. So starting off, we run 2 maxis. The reason we run 2 maxis is because it's 2 and it's a best of 1. Maxi is still pretty good. So we play 3 LZ of the White Forest. This is ideally your starter card that you always want in your hand, because it searches all the other LZs. And since we're playing a lot of spells and traps in this deck, basically send 1 spell or trap from your hand or field to the grave, special summon this card, and add 1 White Forest monster from deck to hand. That includes the Azamina. So that is strong. It's a strong searcher, and it's in the hand. The only thing that stops this is Ash Blossom. So sometimes I suggest using Runick cards to get baited from 4 Hugin, so you can use LZ's effect freely. And also, people forget, in rotation, this card can easily be recycled during your opponent's turn if a light spellcaster tuner is special summoned to your field while this card is in your graveyard. You can add this card back to your hand. So this card can easily make Synchro 8s during the next turn for follow-up. So LZ, you need to play 3. This is a staple card. You almost always want to have this in your opening hand to go full combo. For the newest card in the deck, LZ Azamina of the White Forest. Now this card, it's definitely makes the deck stronger. It enables another engine in the deck to have a Omni Negate. Now, we only play 1 copy. Now, you may think, but, you know, Runick's, you just said this makes the deck even stronger. Why aren't you playing any more? The reason is because of how easily searchable this card is. This card typically will always get searched from either LZ, or with Synchro into Ricilla. Ricilla can search any White Forest card or 1 light spellcaster when it's Synchro summoned. And having 1 is good because you do not want to have this in your opening hand, because you can't really combo off with LZ Azamina because it's more of an extender, at least for in the Runick engine. Because yes, it could special summon itself from the hand, but you need to have this Synchro summon. And typically with Hugin, you can't really have this Synchro summon, or any of the Hugin extra deck Runick cards. You can't really synchro with this. This requires that you have a level 4 tuner, which is these cards. But in your opening hand, having this card with Runick cards, it's not ideal, because 9 times out of 10 Hugin gets baited from a hand trap, because this is a hand trap magnet, and you just have Runick cards. You can't really combo off with this card. So it's more of an extender to go into your Synchro 8s rather than to start off your Synchro 6, Synchro climbing. 1 LZ Azamina. We run 3 Ash Blossoms, pretty standard. The best normal summon in the game. 3 Sylvies. Sylvies just searches your woes, and typically you'll always Synchro into 6 with Runick cards. We play 1 Rusia. So our engine has changed. Instead, no more Stellar. We play 3 Sylvie, 1 Rusia, 3 LZ, and 1 Azamina LZ. because of these changes, they could easily search each other out, assuming you do not get interrupted. We still play the one fusion substitute because the deck is very tight, and we want to rotate our fusion cards, especially Hugin, because we're only playing it at 2. We're playing the one Hollowed Azamina. Now, Azamina, this card, how this works is basically this is your fusion. This is like the polymerization of the deck, and you can easily recycle it with this deck. We're playing the one Fountain, one Deception of Sinful Spoils. Now this is your recycler. So typically the combo is you play this card, you tribute a monster, you add Hollowed Azamina, and it's a free summon because you will then send Deception to summon the newest boss monster of the deck, Azamina Silvia. Silvia is a omni negate, and how they rotate is that when this card is in the graveyard effect of Hollowed Azamina, if this card is in the graveyard, you could target one Azamina you control, shuffle it into the deck. If you do, add this card back. While that card is in your hand, typically this is going to be sent from the graveyard, and this also has a graveyard effect that in the end phase you set this card. And it comes up too if monsters are sent to the graveyard, you can and you control an Azamina monster, you can make your opponent lose 1500 and you gain 1500. So during tournaments, this is pretty good for time. So yes, Deception of Sinful Spoils, you just really only need one of each because they can get each other into rotation when you're searching for it with Azamina LZ. Now, how LZ works is that it's honestly a free special summon. That's why it's an extender. But when this card is synchro summoned as material, you can add one Sinful Spoils. So the engine that is new to White Forest Runick Azamina right now is that when you synchro summon this card, you'll typically try to get Deception of Sinful Spoils, and then you try to tribute to get Hollowed Azamina. When you get Hollowed Azamina or play it, you can get Silvia, and now you're in rotation to have this card once you send it to the graveyard to negate something. Next turn, you can just send it back, Silvia, to grab this card back to your hand, and assuming this card is still in your back row, you can always reset it and negate for days. Next, we play 2 Call by the Graves. That's pretty standard. Now for Runick cards, they are still the same, untouched. Because Runick is semi and limited, this is how we have to play it, with the exception that Smiting Storm, Droplet, and Dispelling can be changed in terms of their ratios to fit your cards that you want to be played. We play 2 Evenly matches. This is my board breaker. This is my own tech card. Again, flex spots in this deck is hand traps or fusion substitute. You don't have to play those cards, but I personally just play it because it fits my playstyle. We play 2 Imperms, 1 Woes. So I wish we could play more, but we don't have enough space. Having 2 Woes felt good because sometimes I wanted to recycle the best trap card in the game, Reframing, which is also an Omni Negate, but 1 Woes is all we could do. Now we play the 1 Reframing. It's a really strong card when it's online. Obviously, opening this card is kind of it's not good, but if you have discard fodder which typically is going to be with Runick cards or with Hugin or LZ or Rusia, it should be fine to have Reframing because you can just try to recycle it. Now for the extra deck is very tight. We play 2 Hugins. The reason we play 2 is because we would play 3, but the thing is the extra deck has so much necessary things that need to be played that we only can play 2. We play the 1 Gary. Gary is just your lifeline and synchro climbing through synchro 10s. the Azamina Silvia, which is your omni negate. 1 formula synchron. That's pretty standard. So it basically is the IP Masquerena for synchros. 1 Coral Dragon and 1 Triad. This is your draw engine when you're trying to synchro into 8 or 10s, and they're free draws. So for the 3 monsters for White Forest, we're playing Silvera, Rusilla, and Diabel. Those 3, you just need 1 copy. With Visa Zamitara, I strongly suggest all White Forest players have to add this package, because it's honestly a free summon, because it's a tuner, and you're always going to have like your level 2 tuners either in the grave or in rotation, and you could easily synchro 10s with Visa Zamitara. You get a free Omni Negate, and then you go into your true boss monsters in the deck. Your 3 synchro 10s are Baron, Qingying, and Chaos Angel. That has always been the same, and most Runick synchro decks will always try to run these 3 cards. And lastly, we played the 1 Typhon. Typhon's a big tech card. It can be very useful. You know, you could dodge nib sometimes if your opponent doesn't nib on time. So yeah, this is the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's always constantly changing. I want to change a lot of ratios to have maybe like 3 Hugins, or take out Coral Dragon. But again, the Runick cards are pretty locked in. So if you want to change things, I would change hand traps, or maybe a few ratios for White Forest. Get to replays now. I hope you guys enjoy. Let's go. I wanted to give one other disclaimer. Some of the cards that I play in the replays will be a little bit different in terms of ratios. I realized it while playing what to change, and that's the beauty of seeing your own replays, that you're gonna see that I had 2 LZs in some of the replays, but just know that because I had them in my opening hand, I realized having 2 is not good. I turned it into 1 because of these replays. So, starting with the first game, we are fighting a Snake Eye Fiendsmith Rescue Ace deck. And our hand is pretty standard. Ideally, you do not want reframing. But to explain a combo with the newest support cards for Azamina, we start off by summoning Hugin. We summon Hugin here first because we don't want the White Forest cards to get negated. Assuming they have any negates, we want Hugin to take the bait, because we could go full combo still and get the other boss monsters. We end up still getting Fountain, and I assume they had 0 hand traps. So we just play Sylvie to get woes. We synchro into Rusilla. Rusilla's effect, when it's summoned, you could send a 1 speller trap, and you could add any White Forest card. We get Rusia here. So with woes being sent to the grave, when this card is sent to the grave by a monster effect, set this card. So we set it. We summon Hugin again to synchro 8. We do that because we want to draw. This is important to do because LZ, if you manipulate it properly, you can send Fountain to the graveyard and reset Fountain and draw more, potentially. But the point is, we do that to draw 2 more cards. So, a fine hand, we use LZ's effect to send Spelling to get Azamina LZ. Now, this is important. You have to synchro with Azamina LZ because of her effect. When it's sent as a synchro material, you can add 1 Sinful Spoil card, and then the effect of Diabel to get reframing. Now, we don't send Fountain because we opened our hand with Reframing, and we want our Omni negate. We also chain Sylvie from the graveyard to special summon herself by sending a Priscilla back to the extra deck. We get the Deception of Sinful Spoils. Now, remind you, this is the newest card. Just to share what it does, you contribute one monster from your hand or field, add one Azamina card from deck to hand. And the other effects, again, there's a graveyard effect that will come up later. The other effect too, if cards are sent to your opponent's grave and you control an Azamina card, you can make your opponent lose 1500 and you gain 1500. We get back our Reframing. We special summon Rusia here, and we still go into Visa Samitara. The reason we still do that is because we want to synchro climb to 10. And we could do it other ways too, with Coral Dragon and Tri-Edge, but the thing is, we want to use every single card on the field right now. We go into Baron. We use Deception to send LZ. Have Hollowed Azamina. Hollowed Azamina. Need to share what Hollowed Azamina does. So, reveal one Azamina fusion monster in your extra deck for every 4 levels it has round down. So, Silvia has 6. So, with 4, that you just have to send one Sinful Spoil card to have anything under level 8. So, doing that, send that card to the graveyard, the Sinful Spoil card, then special summon the revealed monster. This is treated as a fusion summon. Now, the important thing about this card is that Hollowed Azamina's graveyard effect. Once we use the effect of Silvia, you want to use Hollowed Azamina's graveyard effect. Now, in the end phase, now this finally comes up. During the end phase, if this card is sent to the grave because it was sent there from the spell or trap card zone, this turn, you can set it. Now, for this turn 1, we have 3 Omni negates, 1 Book of Eclipse, 1 Synchro 10. That's 5 disruptions there. Opponent goes, they try to add Diabell Star here. So we just use Baron's effect because we just want to get rid of Baron next turn and re-synchro with them. What's cool about that is that if Baron survives this turn, we'll just use their standby phase to send Baron back and then summon back Visa Samitara to synchro again with Hugin. And they just quit. So this is an ideal end board of having the 3 boss monsters. Your hand will always vary because of the Runick cards and what you draw, but typically that's how you want to end the game. So for the second game, this is another example of an ideal hand going first. A little bit different, but all in all, still the same way to climb. We are fighting tier limits, and this hand is actually pretty fair and pretty good. So starting off, we have to summon Hugin to try to get baited. We want to get Fountain because if this gets negated, we still can go full combo with Sylvie. When I mean full combo, it just means to go into Diabell and hopefully recycle your spells and traps. We get Fountain, and I realized they didn't have any hand traps. We normal summon Sylvie here. We get Woes. Go into Rusilla, synchro climbing. We send Woes to get Elzet. Now, Woes being sent to the grave will activate to be set face down. We use Fusion Substitute now to rotate our Hugin back into the deck to draw. We send LZ to grab the other LZ, Azamina, because we want to try to draw once we synchro climb. We summon LZ and synchro into Diabel. LZ chain 1, Diabel chain 2. We get freezing curses. And then we try to get Deception of Sinful Spoils. We then summon Hugin again and draw 2. Really strong hand with tip. We use Sylvie's graveyard effect to go into Silvera. And then Silvera, we synchro climb into Visa Zametara. We value to get the Omni negate, reframing. We use the effect of Deception. Since we don't want to use tip, we could have went to Baron, but I valued tip too much to do that. So instead we use Deception of Sinful to tribute Visa Zametara to get Hallowed Azamina. Now Hallowed Azamina will now finally send Deception to fusion summon. And this is typically your end board. End phase, Hallowed Azamina, since it was sent from the field to the grave face up, you can set it. Now, for this end board, we have 2 Omni negate, 1 Synchro 10, 3 hand traps, Runick tip, plus draws. That's 7 disruptions. That is actually cracked. They have literally 6 cards in their hand, and we could disrupt them. Now, they start by trying to Book of Eclipse us, so I just automatically negate that with Sylvie's effect. We just want that out off the field for rotation purpose. Book of Eclipse. Negate. They use Tearlament to try to destroy Fountain. We want to protect Fountain because we have a tip. So they took away both our Omni negates. They tried to special summon, so we Ash Blossom there. I could have Max Seed, but I just didn't want to. See how far they can play. They use Reinforcement of the Army. That's the crazy part. So I will tip to try to get Dispelling to snipe whatever they're getting. They get their starter, Reinhardt. So I Dispelling and I snipe it. They try to use the effect. I chain 2 to draw 2. Then I call by the grave their Reinhardt to negate. And they only have 2 cards left. We draw something crazy, Destruction. They set 2, and I just destroy, and they have 1 card left. That was absolute domination right there. Showing how powerful the deck can go uninterrupted. Now, more replays will show how the deck goes during deep waters, and the deck could still put up a good fight. So we go first, and we are fighting good old Tenpai Dragon. They let us go first, and this example of a duel shows how the deck plays when things go wrong. Like, I got hand trapped so bad. I had a really bad hand. I had a bad hand in my opinion, because if anything gets negated here, it's hard to go full combo. So we start off by in draw phase summoning Hugin. It's a hard thing to discard here because we need this to synchro 6. We may need this as well to synchro 8, but I believe we discard as the LZ Azamina because we could still go into synchro 8. But unfortunately, we get imperm. So I normal summon to try to synchro into Rusilla. We discard freezing curses because I said to myself, if this gets negated, we could still at least end on something. And it gets imperm. So I try my best to dodge that by using Rusia's effect to still get a card. So I end up getting Elzet Azamina. So during this time, I know I said I play 1. I was just testing to see if 2 Elzet Azaminas can work or not. And for this, it actually did work. But again, it's because ideally you don't want Elzet Azamina in your opening hand. I end up synchro summoning here into Tri-Edge, hoping to draw something good. I get a Ash Blossom. I use Deception to tribute Tri-Edge. And here is an example of how Silvia can recycle itself with just these 3 cards. So end phase, since it was sent to the grave, you could set it. Opponent's turn. I thought I was boned, and I thought I was just gonna quit. But when they played Pydra, I Ash Blossomed it. They Kaimin, so I negate that. I don't want to see any Tenpai dragons, or I'm gonna get OTK. So they actually go into Typhon and just attack. I draw 1, not a good hand to be honest, but I use Hollow Azamina's effect. Like I said, this is the recycle portion. Send Silvia back. I send Deception of Sinful Spoils, and I could have went full combo there. I was trying to go into Sylvie to then have Book of Eclipse or Woes, and then eventually next turn I would have Silvia back. Now for this duel, we are fighting Yubel, and while playing, they go first, and I Ash Blossom their starter. Thankfully, they didn't have a play, they just end phased. So it was our turn to go. They maxi us, thankfully we drew into Called By. Called By there. We go into Destruction, into Hugin. We send Elzet. They Ash Blossom us. But we still have full combo with Elzet. Or White Forest Elzet. Send to the grave, get Sylvie, normal summon Sylvie, get Woes. We could synchro 8 by going into Rusilla, sending Woes. Woes gets us Rusia. We set synchro into Diabel. Diabel gets freezing curses, and then we chain to special summon Sylvie. Special summon Rusia. Go into Visa Samitara. Get Reframing. Go into Baron. Set 1. So we have 2 Omni Negates, 1 Synchro 10, and 1 Book of Eclipse. 4 Disruption. 3 cards in their hand. They try to special, and they quit. So this is an example that you don't need to go into the Azamina cards to still go full combo. So we are going second, I believe. And they're playing Sword Soul. I have no idea what happened there. They just quit. Let's go on to the next one. So we go first here, and we have a pretty healthy hand with defense against hand traps. I felt pretty good. Draw phase. We go into Hugin. Hugin discards Maxi. They imperm. Kinda stings. Imperms are weakness because we can't call by the grave anymore. Go into Woes. Synchro into Rusilla. Rusilla sends get LZ. Set Woes. LZ just get Azamina LZ. Synchro with Azamina LZ into Diabell. Effective the Azamina Diabell. And chain link to grab back called by the grave. Get Deceptions. Now, we still attempt to get Fountain, which we do finally get, and they realize it's over. So, we are playing a mirror match deck. That was pretty fun, and this is why we love Evenly. Good board breaker. When I saw Inspector Border, I already knew, oh no, this is Runick Stun. Everyone hates Runick Stun. So our turn starts. I know how to play against Runick, because I'm Runick's. They try to get Destruction, because they know we're also playing Runick. So, having this good hand, we evenly match. And again, I am sorry that we have two LZ Azaminas. I was testing 2 at the time, so that's why I realized having 2 is not good. So, I just want to address that. I am constantly always changing ratios with my replays because I want to know what works and what doesn't on stream. And obviously, it does not work in my experience, so I cut it down to 1. I apologize again for having 2. We evenly them. We summon Hugin to discard the first copy of Elzat to get Fountain. We Fountain, they chain to try to destruction it, but we have Hugin, so we also get our own destruction because I know they're gonna try to draw after this. But I protect it. They try to draw 3. We destroyed, and they know it's over. So we go first here, and this is a pretty this was a pretty dogfight type of duel. We summon Hugin here at draw phase. Discard Deception. They imperm us. Kind of not ideal, but had to do it. Elzat. And the reason we discarded Deception instead of anything else because we could still synchro climb with this type of hand. And with Ash Blossom, just in case they had like Max C, that's why I kept it. We get Sylvie into Woes, Synchro into Rusilla. Rusilla sends Woes, gets Rusia. Woes gets set. We Synchro into Diabell to get our Deception of Souls. That was a pretty smart tech because we could still go into Silvia. Luckily, drawing Rusia, we can summon to get Visa Samitara. They nib us. Now, during stream when I was recording this, or playing this, I saw their screen went red when I summoned, so I said, oh no, they have nib, guys. And this was not ideal, but since we have a token, it still could work. We send the token to get Hollowed Azamina, Followed Azamina to get a Silvia. And now we have Omni Negate. So this hand, we have only 3 disruptions. Omni Negate, Ash Blossom, and Book of Eclipse. Sort of. We set that back face down. And this is what I wanted to show with this example or duel. That this is the cycle portion of the deck with Silvia. So knowing we have a Omni Negate, they want to get rid of it right away. So they try to attack. You chain 1. It's important to remember, chain. When you play Woes, you have to chain if you don't have any cards in the graveyard. Because if you chain first, you wouldn't be able to Synchro Summon if this was Chain Link 2 with Woes. So we send back Diabell. We get LZ, Synchro LZ into Silvera. Silvera, Book of Eclipses everything, and then Chain Link 2 with LZ. Now we have follow-up to Synchro, assuming Silvera stays on the field. They main phase 2. They try to Fiendsmith here. So we Ash Blossom that. They try to cross out Designate that. We Silvia that. And they quit. Because they know that we can get Silvia back and go into Diabell and end up going full combo. So this shows the resilience of the deck. You don't need Runick cards sometimes. Now, we are fighting Sky Strikers in this duel. And our hand is pretty good. We can stop Maxi. Evenly is discard fodder. And again, we have LZ in the hand. Now, it's okay because we have our other starters that makes this a good extender. So, draw phase. We go into Hugin here. Hugin discards evenly. LZ. The reason we do that is because, see, it gets negated. If we discarded anything else, it may have not gone the right way. I wanted to keep the Ash because I valued it too much that we had full combo. Main phase 1, we send evenly to get Sylvie, and their screen didn't go red, so I knew I was full combo. Same thing, Sylvie. Synchro into Rusilla. Rusilla sends Woes, gets Rusia. Set. We synchro into Diabell. Diabell gets us Slumber. Unfortunately, that was the only good spell or trap to get, and then we chain it with Sylvie to send back Rusilla. Have Rusia. Rusia synchro into Visa Samitara. Reframing, and we set. This wasn't ideal, but we have some interruption. We have 1 Omni Negate, 1 Book of Eclipse, 1 Synchro 10, and Hugin Protection, and Ash. So 4 to 5 disruptions depending how you see it. They go into Typhon. I didn't really know why. I don't know if Sky Strikers, they didn't have enough like board breakers. But they try to destroy Diabell, so we just slumber it. They try to attack. I let that go through. They try to send it to the grave. That's when we Visa Samitara to negate. They set 3 and pass. Our turn. We draw as an LZ again. Again, I apologize. We have 2. I realized playing 2 was not as ideal as I wanted it to be. But we synchro into Chaos Angel here. Now, I misplayed here. I forgot the effect of Typhon. It's 3,000 or more cannot activate its effect. LZ did manage to get used though for synchroing, so we were gonna do that anyways. We use Sylvie to send back, and now we have discard or tribute fodder to get Hollowed Azamina. Hollowed Azamina gets us Silvia. They try to draw, and I just wanted to send it to the grave ASAP before they go into battle phase. That's why, and try to get rid of it. So we negate that, and they just quit. So I hope you guys enjoyed those replays. Again, I apologize for the miss ratios in some of those replays because I was playing those on stream and I realized upon testing what needed to be changed. That's exactly why I show these videos too. Not just to show, oh, you know, it's the end all be all, but I realized 2 Azamina LZs they never came up when they were in my hand. It's only when I searched Azamina LZ that it was a lot better. So other than that, Fusion Substitute came in handy. The ratios was just fine for now. I want to mess around with the ratios with hand traps and maybe like Rusia, maybe the 2, or having more Hollowed Azaminas. It really just depends on how the meta plays out. But other than that, if you guys have any questions, this deck will always be updated on the my Master Duel meta, so you guys can always check that out too on the description and the link below. So yeah, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed Raw Runick Azamina White Forest. It was really fun playing this deck. I hope it could handle being or competing with Fiendsmith. Fiendsmith has been giving me some problems. It's a toss-up right now, but everyone's just trying new things. Hope you enjoyed. See you guys on the next video. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys soon.